So my name is Stefan Bakker. I'm the Vice President of Business with Cost Engineering Consultancy, which is the company behind Cleopatra Enterprise. So a quick introduction of who we are. As Phil already mentioned, we're from the Netherlands. I'm Dutch as well. We were founded in 1996, so well over 20 years that we've been active in the profession of project controls. And we have about 90 people at the moment working for our company, most of them who are themselves cost engineers. So since we're a consultancy firm, we're actually doing projects for our clients, developing cost estimates for complex projects, doing cost control, etc. So we operate worldwide, so even though we're based in the Netherlands, we have clients throughout Europe, North America, Asia Pacific, and other regions as well. And besides being also a software company, we also like to be a knowledge provider, which we can be, because we also have that consultancy part in our company, which I think is a very powerful combination. A lot of clients really value us, since we are not only providing them with a professional software solution, but also with the expertise and people behind it. So Cleopatra itself, we implement it with a lot of our clients. I'll show some examples later. But it's also used by our own cost engineers, our own consultants. So in a sense, it's therefore also developed by cost engineers because they talk directly to our software team in our office. So just to summarize what we do best, I think we all know roughly what project controls is about, the theme of this Glimpse event. We always like to represent it by this circle image, which shows a project going from inception into execution and beyond. So we're involved typically in all these different phases and disciplines within project controls, such as estimating, such as scheduling, and then going into execution, also cost management and benchmarking. And there's a reason that we show this in this kind of circle diagram, because we truly believe in the integration of all these disciplines. We still see a lot of companies nowadays where these are treated more as isolated disciplines, different departments that are sitting in their own silo, if you will, doing these different aspects. We want to bring this all together and make sure that all those disciplines talk to each other, so that we can also establish a kind of feedback loop, so that we can start learning from projects that we've actually executed in the field, where we can collect a lot of valuable knowledge that can be used to feedback into the future project that we do, where we need to go again through this entire cycle. So hence the continuous improvement in the middle. Now, for all these different aspects, we do our consultancy services, we have our software tool Cleopatra, we also have an academy, so we also provide training courses in this profession, hence the knowledge sharing that I mentioned earlier, and CESK, which stands for Cost Engineering Standard Knowledge Base, and that's basically a data set that can be used as input for cost estimating, so standard cost and labor norms that we find in typical industrial projects. So we work with a lot of different clients and industries, mainly what we call the process industry, but also infrastructure, for example, both EPC contractors as well as owner-operator companies, as you can see from this list, so companies like Fluor, but also Bayer, BP, Mott MacDonald, etc. I wanted to start off with a quick research that was conducted by McKinsey a couple of years ago, and sorry, it's a little bit small probably in the back, you may not see it, but it basically shows a whole cloud of projects here in different industries, both infrastructure, mining and oil and gas, mainly large complex projects, so mega projects if you will, and the findings are pretty shocking, because 98% of all these projects face a cost overrun or schedule delay. So in other words, the project controls on these projects is not really done well or well enough, you could say. And also the actual cost increase and schedule delay is quite significant. So it's not small overruns that we see on these projects, but on average 80% over budget, these projects. So there's clearly a problem, and to every problem there should be a solution. So we think that solution should be integrated project controls. Hence this cycle again, where if you would more connect these different disciplines with each other, that it would be much easier to actually control the budget and schedule of these large projects. And we're not the only ones thinking this, because last year a survey was conducted by Logical, who found a direct correlation between the level of integration in these projects, between these different project controls activities, and the successful outcome of these projects. So in other words, the more integrated, to the left-hand side, the more successful your project is going to become. Up to 78% successful outcomes when you have a fully integrated project controls process. So it's quite important to focus on this as a way to improve. Now, with every improvement comes change. So a lot of people, we call that the human element. If you tell them, okay, you should do your work process slightly different, or you should adopt new systems to establish this, you get a lot of pushback. And that's natural. People don't like to change. They would say, okay, hey, we've been doing this for so many years. Sometimes it goes well also. Why should we suddenly do something different? Well, I always like to show this quote from a not too unsuccessful man who says that the people who don't change will be confronted by the growing number of people who see that better ways are available thanks to technology. So in other words, if you don't take that leap and make a change, others will, and you will be quickly outperformed. So doing nothing is not really an option. Now, when I was asked by Phil to do a case study, and I learned that the venue for this event would be Brewers Hall, couldn't find a more fitting one to choose than our client Heineken. Now, you're probably all familiar with Heineken, so I won't spend too much time on this, but it's the second largest beer brewer in the world. They have over 300 brands of beer, of which Heineken is the most well-known, of course. And they have a revenue of around $25 billion. So when we started talking to Heineken, we investigated initially the situation that they had going on within their project controls process. And we quickly found that for the cost estimating, it was mainly managed from their corporate head offices in Zoeterwoude in the Netherlands, where they had a few people who were responsible for all the estimating projects worldwide. On the other hand, when we looked at cost control, we saw that it was mainly local operational companies on site with the actual projects themselves who were responsible for doing the cost control. And also those people who did that cost control were actually project managers and not dedicated project controls people. So in other words, project managers are busy people, so they have a lot of stuff on their heads, on their minds, doing a project. So cost control was just one of the things that they were doing. Also, they were not using any dedicated tooling, so it was mainly Excel spreadsheet based, some manual efforts here and there. So there was quite some room for improvement, what we could see. So we quickly identified a couple of objectives that we wanted to achieve. Two of the main ones were to make better and faster and more reliable cost estimates for the different projects that Heineken is involved in. And also to optimize the cost control process for the project managers, because as I mentioned, they are project managers, so it should be simple and easy to understand, but still reliable cost control that they should do. So when we started, we said, okay, let's first focus on cost estimating. And let's take this as a step-by-step approach instead of doing a big bang and come in and change everything at once. And what we always like to do, instead of just rolling in a software tool and with all the risks that come with it, we always like to start with a needs assessment workshop, as we call it. So first we wanted to investigate and assess the actual situation on the ground, and also the role that cost estimating plays within Heineken. Also, we looked at the needs for data. So what kind of data did they use? Because building a brewery is a very specific type of project. You could probably not use much data from your typical oil and gas refinery, for example. We looked at the methods, things like terminologies and so on, but also the available inputs and outputs. So what comes into these cost estimates and what do we want to get out of them? So as a result, we came up with a kind of roadmap to how to implement Cleopatra, our project control software, but also how we should adapt the work process to it, to come to the necessary improvements eventually. So what we managed to establish by implementing Cleopatra is that we set up a lot of standard templates for Heineken, which made it much easier to start estimates, to do estimates, and to focus the remaining time on analytics and fine-tuning estimates instead. We also built a specific cost knowledge base, so a central repository where the information is stored that Heineken needs to use on their estimating projects. We also developed what we call equipment cost models, so that allows them to quickly estimate equipment costs based on the equipment specifications and parameters that they identified as being cost drivers. We also implemented a control structure already inside of the estimates. So we will see later on that eventually, of course, a cost estimate needs to transfer into a cost baseline that will be used during execution for the cost control. Now, having already a structure in place inside of the estimate, maybe next to the typical work breakdown structure, cost breakdown structure, where that structure is already built up to reflect the desired control baseline, it makes it very easy to actually do that recasting effort from the estimates into the more high-level control structure. Now, next to that, we also provided, of course, extensive training and one of our consultants to assist Heineken during the initial implementation phases. So the next step after we've improved the estimating process is to also look at the cost management process. Now, this needed to be done a little bit differently because I said it was not centrally managed from Heineken's headquarters, but it was mostly the local operating centers that were responsible for this. So we started off by looking at the situation and how we could, for example, take the benefits of establishing a better integration with the cost estimating team. But also, in order to adopt this, we knew we had to get that buy-in from those project managers. Because of that human element that I mentioned earlier, we needed to know how we can convince them to change their work process. And we quickly decided that we wanted to do a kind of pilot project to prove the benefits to them. And that was this project in Mexico, Miyoki project, where we see an image right there. So the implementation follows, of course, after that pilot project, which was successful, where we managed to do a lot of standardization in terms of reporting, which saves a lot of time. We integrated with SAP to make it very easy to import regularly commitments and actuals during the project that we need for our forecasting and earned value management. And we've also developed a quick reference guide for project managers, which was found really helpful for them as a kind of fallback after the training on how they should use this. One of the things they were able to do, for example, is through this nice waterfall chart where they can very quickly analyze the variances between the estimated cost on the left-hand side and the actual cost outcome on the right-hand side, but also where those differences come from. So which disciplines, which type of costs are responsible for an increase or decrease in these cost outcomes. So summarizing the things we've accomplished by doing this project together with Heineken and integrating their project controls teams, is that the estimates are built up much faster than before, so about 40 to 50% faster than before they used Cleopatra. And also the actual projects are now, a lot of them, almost 70% are within budget, which as we saw from that study before is actually quite nice if you have indeed a fully integrated process. And of the projects that did have an overrun, we found that the overrun is on average very small, so not more than 3%. So there are definitely improvements that we managed to achieve here, of which we are very proud, of course. So I'm hoping that you be reminded of this story next time you drink a nice cold Heineken beer. And I'd like to thank you very much.